big difference. So it's my pleasure to introduce our guest minister today, the Reverend Dennis McCarty. He is dedicated to the beauty and subtlety of the English language and a non-theistic life of faith. He previously served the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbus, Indiana, for 12 years. He's written well-reviewed novels and nonfiction books, some of which you can purchase after the service. He's written plays, essays, magazine articles, and newspaper columns. And of course, Servetus, the radical reformed musical, which he performed for us last night to a generous and appreciative audience. Over the years, he has also been a sailor, an electrician doing heavy construction, a teacher, and of course, a minister. He lives in Bloomington, Indiana, with his wife, his life partner, Kate, and welcome, Reverend Dennis. Our chalice lighting today is by Reverend Michelle Collins. As we light our chalice with its freely shared light and its freely shared warmth, let us be reminded of the many things that are also freely shared with us and that we freely share with others. May we lean into generosity shared from the heart that can warm those around us. As I light the chalice, would you please rise as you are willing or able to join us in singing hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. For remaining standing. We will now recite our covenant. We unite to strengthen the bonds of kinship among all persons, to promote human dignity, and to increase reverence for life's creating, sustaining, and transforming power through worship, study, and service. You may be seated.
I just want to say, you see the tall young man on the end? Many years ago, or not so many really, you see the little short guy, cute little short guy next to him? Grayson was that size. And Kate, well, maybe he wasn't ever that size, but he was close. He was close. He came to me when some years ago and said, could we have a children's choir? It was his fault. And so you know what Grayson did? I said, we can have a children's choir if you can find enough children who want to have a children's choir. And he rallied the troops, and we started a children's choir. And so he's helping us out this morning, and his next goal is going to be to find a youth choir for us, I think, so that we can continue the music. So thank you for helping us today, Grayson, and thank you for starting all of this. And now, in honor of the month of gift of generosity, we offer you our anthem, The Gift of Love.
Our reading today is from About Gentle Atheism by the Reverend Dennis McCarty. The gentle atheist finds religious belief or non-belief to be irrelevant to a religious life. To be religious is to aspire to a life of significance and meaning in the face of an immense and mysterious cosmos in which we have more questions than answers. The immensity of time and space provide greatness and subtlety beyond human imagination. There is no need for superstition, dogma, or idolatries. In expanding the boundaries of human insight and knowledge lie wonder and mystery enough. At the same time, the gentle atheist acknowledges that belief and disbelief alike can be unhealthy. On the one hand, as ploys to evade the realities of life and death, but also on the other, to evade the need for human commonality and compassion. The gentle atheist holds that morality must derive not from supernatural sources of power or authority, but from mutual commitment to human flourishing. Because human beings flourish best as a respectful part of the natural world rather than in attempted mastery over it, the gentle atheist aspires to a life of sustainable relationship rather than short-term exploitation. The gentle atheist does not fear the language of religious tradition, but rather takes an analytical attitude toward both its possibilities and its liabilities. As creative minds find value in the arts, in poetry, and in metaphor, there can also be creative language around religion, aspiration, and conscience. The gentle atheist is inclined toward patience and compassion on such issues, while still resisting religious language as a mere abstraction of power or a way to evade life's more difficult realities. In all this, the gentle atheist strives for meaning in the face of death, aspiration in the face of the world's harshness, and personal and societal evolution in the face of tragedy, imperfection, and entropy.
I want to start by thanking the choir for your gorgeous gift of music this morning, and a reminder that those lyrics are taken from St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians in the New Testament, which is exactly what I mean by the possibilities in religious language. Doesn't matter what you believe, that's wonderful stuff. Thank you. In my years of active ministry, I would sometimes quip that I was a Buddhist on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, an atheist on Tuesday and Thursday, a Christian on Saturday, and just plain confused on Sunday. All of which was true as far as it went. But if we talked longer, I would add, if you really hold my feet to the fire and make me choose, I would have to come down as an atheist. In other words, yes, I am an atheist, but my atheism is informed by my Buddhism and by my Christian upbringing and by my appreciation of literature and the arts, and also what the sciences tell us about this broad cosmos and the journey by which we got here and where we might be going. Human experience is rich and complex, and I think it's a mistake to separate out one segment and say this is or is not religion. Romance and imagery aside, I am personally skeptical that there might be any cosmic personality or force that guides or propels the universe or my life personally. The laws of physics and the mystery of all we do not yet know are enough for me. But I still believe in romance and imagery. I believe in poetry. I believe in song. I believe in falling in love with wonder. And I have, for the record, read scientists who are similarly romantically inclined. Life is complex. To me, to be religious is simply to be earnestly engaged with that complexity. To me, liberal religion is a dance with life and love and complexity and creativity and death. We sing to these things in our hearts and listen for that song to be reflected back to us. Of course, as a Unitarian Universalist, even that much religious speech risks controversy. There is tension in Unitarian Universalist circles between those we call humanists on the one hand and those we call spiritualists on the other. Whether we call it the humanist-spiritualist divide or something else, I've been Unitarian Universalist long enough to experience it as a real and genuine tension in many churches. As a minister, I danced with it in my own congregations. And it was challenging sometimes to try to engage and appreciate all sincere beliefs and non-beliefs among the people of my congregation while still remaining true to the sentiments in my own heart. And at the same time, that very dance also brought greater depth and understanding to my own religious outlook. Diversity of belief is a challenge, but it can have its rewards. As my Spanish teacher used to tell us in high school, a person who does not understand a foreign language does not really understand their own. And that goes for religion as well. There is such richness, insight, learning, and love in our religious diversity. We have such possibilities. It is hard work to find ways to even talk to one another about our beliefs and non-beliefs, but that discussion is still better than slipping into separate silence or a religion that consists of nothing more than what we don't believe. As I mentioned, I started out Christian, and it was, to say the least, a long journey from there to where I am today. And it was only when I retired that I really came out as an atheist. After all, our church is not about what the minister believes. It's about the hopes and dreams of the whole membership and their beliefs and non-belief. And even now, atheism does not mean I lack a sense of personal wonder and poetry, or that I lack appreciation for all the diverse religious journeys we celebrate in this varied tradition of ours. On the one hand, I do sympathize with humanists who get tired of hearing traditional religious language. On the other, I also sympathize when someone tells me they want to feel as though they're in a church service, not just a club or symposium. And I even have my own personal gripe over religious language when I hear one of my colleagues, bless all my colleagues, when I hear one of my colleagues direct a petitionary prayer to Spirit of Life. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to pray to God, use the word. I can take it. But I only bring that up because I realize the solution that would make me comfortable would also make some other people uncomfortable. And that's the way it is with us. We have 1,000 different takes on what language works for us and what doesn't. This is an easy faith when it comes to rules. It's not easy when it comes to mixing and matching our different beliefs and non-beliefs and sensitivities. We can only stay in discussion with one another and love and respect one another in all our variousness. The challenge of liberal religion is to keep talking and listening and loving one another in the midst of all our different outlooks and languages. And while I'm at it, I do invite as much compassion and tolerance as possible for the poor minister who has to satisfy all those different opinions. I became Unitarian Universalist, and I remain Unitarian Universalist because to me, we have the most interesting people and the best opportunities for a good discussion. But of course, discussion is best when there's curiosity as well as opinion, and everyone listens as well as talks. There is a strain of atheism, I've heard it called new atheism, that really is, in my opinion, divisive. To such new atheists as Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, brilliant though they may be in other ways, any kind of religious thought is expressed as a mental illness, basically, and it's not just them. I regularly hear comments from snarky atheists in other venues, and sometimes even in our own congregations, that religion is absurd, that religious people are basically dumb, and that religious thinking is the source of all the world's woes. And I suspect popular culture itself lends energy to that kind of snarkiness. I don't see popular culture leading to thoughtful discussion of anything. I swear to God, or whomever. If an alien landed on Earth and listened to talk radio or cable news or read Facebook, they would leave thinking that all Christians hate all gay folks and love any war, that all Muslims hate all Christians, and that all atheists think all religious people are stupid. Well, I'm an atheist, and I also consider myself a religious person, and I don't think I'm stupid. My observation is popular culture has no use for common ground or thoughtful discussion because, quite simply, common ground and thoughtfulness do not create cash flow. There's more money to be made out of people yelling at one another. Well, now, look at today's national news and see where that's got us. People who take time to love and learn from one another are not profitable, so you won't find them in popular culture. You have to come to a place like this. And even here, we all have to work at it to nurture thoughtful discussion and thoughtful religion. As an atheist looking for common ground between what some folks call humanism and some folks call spiritualism, I find myself right back with the sciences. Atheists though they were, the late Carl Sagan and Stephen Jay Gould, wondrous voices for reason, also wrestled thoughtfully and beautifully with ultimate meaning and the relationship between science and religion. Neil deGrasse Tyson has some beautiful things to say. Science is very much about engaging our sense of wonder, as is liberal religion. To me, science and religion are not in conflict, or at least they shouldn't be. They should be in partnership. One should inform the other. Several years ago, I ran across a fascinating article in Science magazine, the peer-reviewed journal of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. The cover blurb on the article says it all, quote, "Why it pays to believe in a punitive God." In this article, after years of comprehensive research, a cross-disciplinary team of scientists developed a theory why so many varied cultures over such a broad span of time all came to worship what the article calls moralizing gods. And this moralizing God concept might be theistic, as in Islam, Judaism, or Christianity. It might be polytheistic, as in any number of ancient civilizations, Or it might even be a kind of disembodied theism, as in the Buddhist moralizing principle of karma. It ranges from the gods of ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome to the Lord God of Israel. To these scientists, historical belief in moralizing gods was essential to building the very foundations of modern complex society. Quote, by combining laboratory experiments, cross-cultural fieldwork, and analysis of the historical record, the so-called Big Gods team hypothesizes that belief in those judgmental deities, or big gods, was key to the cooperation needed to build and sustain large, complex societies. Close quote. Now, this does not mean we all still need to believe in theistic or polytheistic gods, but according to Science magazine, they may have played an important role in getting us where we are today. The so-called Big Gods team, I love that term, does acknowledge that much more research needs to be done. And I myself have one serious caveat with their theory. I noted that the Science magazine article says nothing about the role of sociological group dynamics in all religion, ancient, modern, right up to present-day atheism. We all have to beware of group dynamics. I absolutely assert you cannot understand religion, particularly as practiced in the West, without a basic understanding of group dynamics. And I'm particularly talking about what sociologists call the in-group versus the out-group. Very basically, group cohesion was essential to the survival of ancient Homo sapiens. We evolved instinctively to divide into us, the in-group, and everyone else, them, the out-group, in forming our group as separate from their groups. Again, spontaneously and instinctively, we rather randomly assign positive qualities to our in-group and negative qualities to competing out-groups. This is very basic stuff. It's been demonstrated in any number of studies. We see it all the time, from Facebook to politics to people rooting for sports teams. It's all about cohesion within our group versus competition with other groups. As one example, the whole body of Hebrew law in the Torah largely comes down to the means by which the Hebrew in-group separated itself from other ancient Near Eastern cultures. And in fact, the very Hebrew word for holy has the same root as the Hebrew word for separate. Just one example. The cultured despisers of religion like to point out the ludicrousness of the commandment, thou shalt not kill. After all, much of the Torah is a compendium of mass murder and genocide. But it makes perfect sense in the context of group dynamics. The commandment not to kill applies within the in-group, but not with the out-group. We don't kill each other or the stranger who comes respectfully into our midst, and even that was an advance. But that does not cover our actions toward the out-group, how we treat them. And even within the in-group, killing is acceptable if someone fails to abide by the in-group's various taboos, that is, the authority of the moralizing God. Thus saith the Lord, he who wears clothing made of two different fabrics, or plants the same field with two different crops, is subject to severe penalty, up to and including death by stoning. That's what it says in Leviticus. And I suggest that historic Western theism is much about our group in competition with their groups, and the authority by which we maintain standards and practices and membership in our group, all projected onto our moralizing God. I suggest that sin itself, in the traditionally religious sense, is nothing more than a violation of authority of the in-group and the in-group's religious rules as given by the in-group's moralizing God. Now, fast forward 2,500 years to an article I found on Scientific American Magazine's website, written by psychologists Sarah Estes and Jesse Graham. They describe progress toward what they call religious universalism. They're not talking about us, Unitarian Universalists. They're using universalism as a sociological term for a religious outlook which, as they put it, quote, reduces authoritarianism, dominance, and ethnocentrism, and even more turns all humanity into our in-group. That's an amazing little article which captured to me the whole struggle of liberal religion over the past 500 years to abandon the group dynamics and authoritarianism of traditional religion and develop a faith of compassion and relationship, which sees all humanity as our in-group. And I think that's a kind of universalism to which anyone can aspire with honor, even the most skeptical atheist. And I might add, it has everything to do with what the Unitarian Universalist Association's proposed Article 2 revision is all about. Just saying. Make no mistake, the most skeptical atheist is still just as human as the most fervent fundamentalist theist. We all have human instincts, including group dynamics. So I have to say, knowing that it's likely to be controversial, that I find the so-called new atheism's disdain for religion and religious language has little to do with reason or logic and everything to do with emotion, group dynamics. Just the same as fundamentalist theism. Or to put it a different way, group dynamics and group assumptions can take anyone, no matter how brilliant, down an irrational road so fast we don't even know it's happening, unless we resist them with a healthy dose of compassion and humility. Because once we let group dynamics take over, make no mistake, the only thing that separates us from Hamas or any other violent faction of zealots is how far we're willing to go down that road. Now, that does not mean that I find all beliefs or non-beliefs equally acceptable, but it does mean a willingness to talk and listen to one another. So when I think of myself as a gentle atheist, or recommend what I sometimes call gentle atheism, I'm really talking about the willingness to listen, the compassionate willingness to tolerate, even appreciate religious belief and the poetry of religious language. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the words to all inspire and have not love, I have nothing. Even when they don't jibe with my personal opinion. I don't agree with St. Paul on much else. That's not without its challenges, but kind and gentle atheism is not nearly as much about the atheism as it is about the kind and gentle. Belief or non-belief, either one, is pretty easy. Gentleness in religion is a little harder. But religion definitely should not be about our superiority over those we want to outcompete. It should be about the wonder and mystery which are equally accessible, if not quite identical, to the scientist or the theist, to the Buddhist or the humanist. It should be about relationship and aspiration and justice and equality and fierce commitment to making all these things the very best and most equitable we can with the powers we have. Human relations should be gentle without being obedient, courageous without being destructive. It's about humility and compassion and listening to one another, even in the firmness of our own conviction. Because make no mistake, I don't think you can even be religious all by yourself any more than you can be loving all by yourself. Frankly, there is nothing unique in Unitarian Universalist circles about this take on atheism. I suspect a lot of you atheists and you theists and spiritualists feel similarly in general. This is not the kind of take on religion that makes many headlines. It is, however, a take on religion that can help us work together to create a healthier, more just world. Amen. May it be so.
Hi, it's time for our offering, and it is the month of generosity, I remind you again. And I would think of this not in terms of the cash flow to popular culture, but in resistance to that. Generosity opens us up to more love. It's a way to sow and invest in the mission and reap the blessings to come. The offering will now be greatly received.
Now it's our turn. I invite you, as you're so inclined to and willing and able, to stand and join in singing our hymn number 343, A Fire, Mist, and a Planet. One of my total favorites, I might add. When we look past the surface of things, there is a transforming mystery to life. It lies in the dragonfly's wing, ripples spreading across a still pond, the smile of a baby. The door to enlightenment opens at every hand. Listen, listen. We can hear the roar of distant waters. We can hear the whispers of the muses calling us to a brighter world.